Welcome to the Fort Sill Recreation Safety Brief. This briefing is part of your mandatory safety training before you're granted access for recreation on the range here at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. The safety brief is required for all eligible users 9 years and older. Feel free to pause or replay any of this presentation for better comprehension. The Natural Resources Branch oversees the hunting, fishing, and recreation program on Fort Sill. We are located in buildings 1458 and 1459 Punch Bowl Road. Our hours of operation are Monday through Friday from 0900 to 1500. We work closely with the conservation law enforcement officers to uphold the regulations put forth by Fort Sill while protecting the natural resources found on this installation. This safety brief is designed to assist with understanding the recreation requirements on Fort Sill and highlight some of the differences between Fort Sill's and Oklahoma's state regulations. It is the sportsman's responsibility to read, understand, and abide by Fort Sill's recreational use, management, harvest, and protection of natural resources regulations, FS 200-1, Deer and Elk Circular, Firearms Regulation, FS 190-11, as well as other applicable local, state, and federal laws and regulations. Safety and the Army mission are priority on Fort Sill. Eligible users are active duty military, retired veterans, honorably discharged veterans rated by the VA as 100% disabled from a service-connected injury, Guard and Reserve, foreign military permanently stationed at Fort Sill only, Fort Sill only full-time permanent and term Department of Defense or Veterans Affairs civilians, and Fort Sill only full-time permanent non-appropriated funds civilians, Fort Sill retired DoD, VA, and NAF civilians, unremarried widows or widowers of member or former member of uniformed service, Cameron University ROTC contracted cadets, dependents, spouses or children, of these eligible users. Children 9 and older must have their own iSportsman accounts and watch this video. Children lose their ID cards at age 21, except college students with proof of full-time enrollment until age 23, at which point their status will become guest. To be granted access, eligible users must create or import an iSportsman account, complete this online sportsman safety course and the online UXO annual safety brief. Then appear in person at 1458 Punch Bowl Road and present validation of their eligibility. See the FS 200-1 for eligibility requirements and what documents can be used to validate eligibility. Usually this is a DEERS issued ID such as a CAC, dependent, or retiree card. DAC NAF employees must present their SF-50 showing Fort Sill as the duty station. Dependents who don't have a DEERS ID will bring a birth or marriage certificate indicating connection to the eligible user. 100% disabled American veterans will also bring their VA letter showing the service-connected 100% rating. User's validation is set to the expiration of the ID. Users will then be able to purchase permits and recreate on the range. Guests are the responsibility of the sponsor. Sponsors will be held accountable for their guests' actions. Sponsors can have up to 2 guests per day, exception being big game. Only 1 guest per sponsor per day. No guest hunting during elk hunting, deer gun, deer muzzleloader weekends. Guest and sponsor are required to be within normal speaking distance at all times and must be checked into the same activity. Guests must have an iSportsman account and are required to check in and out. Guest purchases their daily permit, then the sponsor checks in. Sponsor is asked for the guest's last initial and iSportsman number. For direction on utilizing iSportsman, see the how-to video located on the home page. Users are required to have an iSportsman account. This is what the iSportsman homepage looks like from a computer and is also accessible on mobile devices. It is recommended to bookmark the homepage as all announcements are posted here first. iSportsman will show areas that are closed for troop training, as well as areas that are open but have the possibility of troop activity. Remember, it is the recreationist's responsibility to vacate the area if troops are present. Recreationists must remain greater than 600 yards from troops. Training comes first. Ice Sportsman is where permits are purchased and printed. Post the parking permit where it is visible from the ground when you park a vehicle on the range. iSportsman is also where users officially check in and out of the range. Users are required to check in before recreating and check out once clear of the range before the checkout time. If you will be more than 100 feet off the paved road, you must check into iSportsman. There is an iSportsman tutorial on the home page. Please read the FS 200-1 for Fort Sill specific regulations and violation penalties. Fort Sill follows all Oklahoma state hunting and fishing regulations. The FS 200-1 and Deer and Elk Circular addresses season dates, bag limits, and deviations from state regulations. Recreational opportunities include hunting, shed hunting and scouting, fishing, boating, ATV and motorcycle riding, horseback riding, bicycling, hiking, wildlife watching, photography, berry picking, pecan picking, mushroom picking, and firewood cutting. Activities with an asterisk have special regulations found in the FS 200-1. Firewood collected must be from fallen wood and not standing trees. The Deer and Elk Circular is posted prior to big game season with lottery information, quotas, and additional regulations. Unexploded ordnances, or UXOs, can be found anywhere on this installation. Our EOD team is really good about taking care of anything reported. If you find something, take a picture of it, record its location, and report it to range control. If you didn't put it there, do not touch it. Recognize, retreat, report. Recognize a munition is dangerous. Retreat from the area and report it to range control. If you did not drop it, don't pick it up. Fort Sill is in the Great Plains. As such, fires are a healthy and normal part of the ecosystem. However, we want to protect people and property. Our fire department does an amazing job working with our natural resources team. Prescribed burns are set on purpose to achieve management goals and reduce fuel loads. When prescribed burns occur, recreationists will not be able to check into those closed areas. Being an artillery installation, range fires are not uncommon. When wildfires occur, recreationists on the range will be notified via phone call, email, and text to evacuate the area. In Oklahoma, our summers are hot and our winters are cold. Be weather aware when you are headed to the range. Dress appropriately and make sure someone who is not with you knows your plan for the day. Using a map app will aid in keeping you familiar with the range and your assigned training area. Fort Sill is approximately 94,000 acres and is broken into 3 ranges: East, West, and Quanah. These ranges are divided into training areas, which are the hunting compartments you will see on iSportsman. We have over 200 ponds, of which 160 are managed, stocked, maintained, and managed for fishing and waterfowl hunting. Any area on the map that has blue horizontal lines signify small game archery areas. Pink vertical lined areas are archery-only areas. These 25 areas have weapons restrictions during all hunting seasons. Small game archery must abide by small game weapons restrictions. Archery only can only utilize bows. All areas in red are impact areas and off-limits to all recreation. The non-dudded impact areas, shown as a yellow buffer around the impact areas, are also off-limits to all recreation. Any areas in red hash marks are known UXO areas and are off-limits to all recreation. East Range is 27,000 acres east of Highway 44 and spans from Lawton North to Elgin. There are 2 impact areas on East Range, North and South Arbuckle. There are 10 small game archery-only areas on this range. Pig Farm is 150 acres designated for recreational ATV and motorbike use only. There is no hunting allowed or any other activity in pig farm except for ATV and UTV use. ATVs can only be used on the range within pig farm or for big game recovery. ATVs must be trailered to their destination. West Range is the largest of the three ranges, approximately 56,000 acres. It spans from west of Highway 44, east to Highway 115, and north to Highway 49, south to Highway 62. There are 15 small game archery-only areas on West Range. As previously stated, the red hashed areas are off-limits to recreation. Crater Creek demolition, utilized by EOD, has known UXOs just north of the complex, designated by the red hash marks on the map. It is off-limits for recreation due to safety concerns. The blue circle is Camp Eagle. When not being utilized by units for training, it may be used for recreation. For recreational purposes, Camp Eagle is treated as cantonment. There is no hunting allowed within Camp Eagle, but other recreational activities, such as hiking or foraging, are permitted. On the north side of West Range is Lake Elmer Thomas Recreation Area. Lettra straddles the boundary of Fort Sill, so within Fort Sill, it is managed by MWR. Lettra has an entry fee on the Fort Sill side, but does not require a post permit. No hunting is allowed, but fishing is allowed with a state fishing license. Lettra has a lifeguard on duty in the designated swimming area. This is the only place on the range that swimming is permitted. Quanah Range is 15,000 acres with a 1,600-acre impact zone. Quanah Range spans from west of Highway 115 to Indiahoma Road and from north of Highway 62 to the Wichita Mountains Wildlife Refuge. This range is mainly used by the Air Force. Access to the restricted range is through twin gates off of Highway 115, circled here in red. Before gaining entry to Quanah Range, see our access procedures on iSportsman. You must check in before entering into Quanah. Wild animals may be hazardous to recreationists. Most animals will try escape or hide using their camouflage as humans approach. We do have 6 venomous snakes here on Fort Sill. In the event of a snake bite, Comanche County Memorial Hospital holds the antivenom for the venomous snakes found here. Call 911. Do not hike out. Give them your grid coordinates of your location. The best defense against snake bites is to be aware of your surroundings. Wear long shirts and pants and boots to help reduce the impact of a bite. Fort Sill also has biting insects such as chiggers, ticks, and mosquitoes. Ticks here may carry Lyme's disease or Rocky Mountain spotted fever. Mosquitoes in neighboring counties have been reported to carry West Nile virus. If you feel ill after an insect bite, please tell your doctor that you have recently been bitten. The best prevention for bug bites is to wear long shirts, pants, and a hat and use a repellent such as DEET. Elk and deer can be aggressive in the fall rut, while other mammals such as raccoons or opossums are nocturnal, so interactions should be reduced. Wild pigs may also be aggressive. Hunting seasons are posted on iSportsman and typically align with the state's dates, with the exception of big game. There is no snake season on the installation. You cannot kill rattlesnakes. Be sure to read all regulations in the FS 200-1, the Deer and Elk Circular, and ODWC's state regulations before hunting on Fort Sill. It is always best to maintain your distance from wildlife to avoid hazards. Fort Sill is also home to some hazardous plants. This includes poisonous, stinging, prickly, and thorny plants. Feel free to pause the video to view the common hazardous species. When boating on Fort Sill, all lakes and ponds are no-wake areas. Boaters must comply with all state boater safety laws and regulations. Additional hazards you may encounter are listed here. Feel free to pause the video to review these. Fishermen and hunters must also obtain valid Oklahoma licenses. See the FS 200-1 for all rules and the Deer and Elk Circular for hunting season details. Hunters must register their weapons in accordance with FS 190-11 at the Visitor Welcome Center located at 6701 Sheridan Road, Fort Sill. Use FS Form 562 to register weapons and note that active duty members will require their commander's signature. Hunters can drop off the form in person or email it to the address listed here. To get your Oklahoma State licenses, log on to gooutdoorsoklahoma.com or scan the left QR code. This will be a necessity for big game hunters, as the state requires you to e-check your harvest. Through the app, you can get digital copies of the regs, as well as always have a copy of your state license. To track where you are on Fort Sill in real time, download the Avenza Map app or a similar navigation app. The top link is for Android devices, and the bottom is for Apple. You can scan the right QR code. Once you have Avenza, go to our Fort Sill iSportsman website to download the map overlay. This will show your location, and you will know if you are staying in the boundary of the area you're checked into.